Struth. When word got out about Australia's plan for massive fences, the globe couldn't help but chuckle. A barrier running for thousands of kilometers? It sounded absurd. Most folks thought we'd lost the plot. The image in their minds, a rickety garden fence trying to tame the wild outback, pure slapstick. But for Aussies, this was no laughing matter. Our farms, our animals, and our way of life were under threat. The rest of the world saw a punchline. We saw our only hope. This was about making it through, not making headlines. Cartoons poked fun, kangaroos leaping fences, emus strutting around them. But they underestimated Aussie grit. When we face a giant problem, we tackle it head on. This fence was more than just wire and posts. It was proof of our resolve. Let them laugh. We knew exactly what we stood to lose. If they'd witnessed the destruction, fields eaten bare by rabbits, the quiet where birds once called, they'd understand. We were ready to prove to the world what Australians are truly made of. What could possibly make Australia build such enormous fences? The answer? An invasion by rabbits, dingoes, and a whole cast of troublemakers. Settlers brought rabbits, and they exploded in number, billions, munching their way through the countryside and leaving only dust behind. Farmers watched their crops vanish, their feed disappear, and their hopes fade. It was a fluffy disaster. Meanwhile, dingoes, Australia's native hunters, were a nightmare for sheep farmers, threatening entire livelihoods. The fence became a lifeline. Sheep protected on one side, dingoes roaming free on the other. And it didn't stop there. Feral pigs, goats, and foxes joined the chaos, tearing up the land. Foxes, brought in for sport, wiped out native marsupials like the bilby and numbat. The ecosystem was thrown off balance. Native creatures began to vanish. These fences became sanctuaries, safe zones where native animals could finally catch a break. Australia's one-of-a-kind environment, shaped by isolation, was incredibly delicate. The rabbit-proof and dingo fences were bold, last-resort moves to tip the scales back. This was a battle for survival, and the fences were our front lines, drawn in steel and wire. Imagine the challenge, constructing fences that stretch for thousands of kilometers, right through some of the toughest terrain on Earth. These barriers cut across the vast, sun-baked outback, defying deserts, mountains, and endless scrubland. Teams of workers dug post holes by hand, braving relentless heat and rugged landscapes. No high-tech equipment here, just pure muscle, determination, and grit. Getting supplies out there? That meant loading up trucks, horses, and even camels to haul everything across the wild. The crews camped in the bush, enduring searing heat, choking dust, and total isolation. These fences didn't just reshape the land, they blocked ancient animal trails, stopping kangaroos and emus in their tracks. Sometimes confused animals would gather at the barriers, unsure where to go next. Still, the workers pushed forward, linking far-flung communities with a single, unbroken wire. The rabbit-proof and dingo fences became legendary, testaments to human endurance and ingenuity. Today, they stand as symbols of Aussie determination. Quite literally, we drew a line in the sand. When the fences appeared, everything shifted almost overnight. For farmers, it was a game changer. Sheep were finally protected, businesses flourished, and the fence stood as their safeguard. But for the wildlife, the fence was a dividing line, splitting habitats in two. On the safe side, kangaroo populations soared without dingoes, bringing fresh headaches for farmers. On the dingo side, predators still roamed, but their territory shrank, altering their habits and even their genes. The balance tipped. Removing top predators meant more pests and new pressures on native plants and animals. Land with dingoes was harder for sheep, but nature stayed healthier overall. The fence became a living lesson in nature's chain reactions. Keeping the fence intact turned into a solitary but crucial job. Walking the line, fixing breaks, always on guard. Boundary riders, often overlooked, were the quiet champions, making sure the barrier held strong. Their dedication kept the fence working, for better or for worse. The fence wasn't just a barrier, it transformed communities and the land itself. In the end, it became a powerful reminder. Every action in nature has consequences, intended or not. Years down the line, the impact of the fence was both astonishing and complicated. On one hand, it shielded sheep and fueled economic growth. On the other, it came at a heavy environmental price. With dingoes gone, kangaroo and emu numbers exploded, causing overgrazing and turning fields into dust bowls. We fixed one issue, but unleashed a whole new set of problems. Classic case of unintended consequences. Researchers discovered that areas with dingoes had richer vegetation and more thriving wildlife. Dingoes acted as natural pest control, helping to preserve biodiversity. The fence ended up as the world's largest ecological experiment. It taught us that nature's balance is never simple. Tinkering with one part of an ecosystem sends ripples through everything else. Now, we talk about rewilding and finding ways to live alongside predators. Australia's massive fences delivered a hard-earned lesson. Sometimes nature really does know best.